Okay, welcome back to PrairieFoxSurvival.com, and today I'm going to use my thermal cooker and I am going to cook corned beef and cabbage. And as you can see, I've taken the corned beef and I've cut it into some chunks, and I did cut off a lot of the excess fat that's on there. It's just much easier to do it now before it's cooked. And what I'm going to do with the corned beef is I am going to put it into this pot right here, which is the inner pot for the thermal cooker. And I'm going to put some water in it and fill it probably a little more than half full, about 70 to 80% full of water. And then I'm going to put it on the stove and boil it for 10 minutes. And then I'll put the lid on it and I'll put it inside the thermal cooker. And in 4 hours I will come back and I am going to put my cabbage in. And I'm just going to cut the hearts out, and I kind of save these because Richard and one of our dogs kind of likes the hearts of the cabbage, and they eat that together. But I will chop up the cabbage into pieces about like this, and then I kind of tear it apart. But I'm not going to put the cabbage in now because we don't like our cabbage to get too mushy. So in 4 hours, I'll come back and I'll add the cabbage and add some extra water, and I will bring it back to a boil and put it right back into the cooker. And I'll show you that part when we get to there. And so in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the stove to boil for 10 minutes. And be sure, with the corned beef, you know, it comes with a package of seasoning. So you want to be sure and put that in there too. All the little good seasonings. And believe it or not, in 4 hours, this meat should be pretty darn tender. And I'll let you know what it looks like then when we get ready to add the cabbage. Okay, this is cooked for 4 hours now, and like I said, all I did was boil it, and because of the size of the meat chunks, I went ahead and boiled it for 20 minutes. And it's been sitting there with absolutely in this container with no electricity whatsoever. And get bigger for it here. And let me just show you a chunk of this corned beef. It's pretty done. It's all the way done. And, oh, I'm sorry. It's done and it's ready to go. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to add some of this cabbage in here. And you can see the pot, you can see the steam still coming out of the pot, and it's full of water. The meat's at the bottom. And I'm going to put in as much of this cabbage as I can in here. It's not quite as big as what I'm used to, and I usually can put a whole head of cabbage in it. And I've kind of broken my cabbage up. And when I get it all in here, oops, ouch, that's hot. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to boil it for approximately 10 minutes, just basically to get the cabbage warm and to get it back to a good rolling boil. And which is what this is going to need. And I can fill this up all the way to the top in this pan. So I'm going to get most of my cabbage in. And if you want to see, this is so nice and tender, this piece of meat is just really just kind of just cuts right up. And you know, corned beef you generally cut against the grain. And it's doing a wonderful job of cutting against the grain. And actually Richard has already tried some of it and it's delicious, and the dogs are sitting here begging for some. So I'm going to go ahead. I guess I can get the rest of this in here. Didn't think I would. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this lid back on it and bring it back up to a boil and let it boil for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to stick it back in there. And nobody knew what I was cooking until I pulled the lid off, because you can't smell it while it's cooking in this cooker here. It's great for a prep, or, you know, if you're hiding out and don't want somebody to know what you're cooking. So I'm going to stick it on the stove and we'll show you the finished product later. Okay, this is sat in here for another hour. And after we put in the cabbage, and let me just see if I can get this out of here. Ooh, let's go like this. Whew, it's hot, as you can well see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, can you see the steam coming out? I think Richard could probably zoom in a little on that. And here's this pot, and it's full, so I can't really tip it up, and it's pretty darn hot. But let me go ahead and get a plate of this stuff out, because I think Richard's really starving. Here's our cabbage. And as you can see, it's not overdone. It's really nice and just about the way we like it. And I'm going to have to dig down to the bottom to get some of the corned beef out. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's a good chunk of corned beef and cabbage right there. And we like a little bit of crushed red pepper on just about everything we eat. And here I'm going to sprinkle some of it on here. And I'm going to give this plate to Richard, and he's going to eat this in just a second. And we thank you for coming to Prairie Fox Survival, and we'll be sure and go to prairiefoxsurvival.com for recipes on this and other recipes.
And Richard would like to say, as Deanie's closing, as he forgot to turn TV down watching Fox News, and I hope you folks can enjoy it.
I hope so too.